Hey boys and girls, today for writing workshop, we are going to finish up our 3-page story from last week. So let's take a look at what we've done so far. So let's look at our chart, how to write a story. So last week you thought of an idea of what you wanted to write about. Remember, I picked writing about when Ella pulled me down that time. So we already thought of an idea, so I'm going to put a check mark because we've already done that step. Okay, step 2 says touch and tell the pages of the story. So we did that. We planned our story. Step 3, sketch what happened on each page. We did that too. So last week you should have turned in your 3-page story with sketches in pencil on each page, and then you started writing the beginning of the story. So today what you're going to be doing is you're going to write the rest of your story, your middle and your end, and then you're going to color each page, making sure they're wow pictures. So I've already done these 2 steps, so I'll let you see mine in a minute. And then I want to teach you today how to do one more step. So the very last step before you turn something in is you edit. And we're going to talk about what it means to edit. All right, so let's take a look at my story. All right, so see how I have wow pictures up here at the top? I have labels. Everything is colored in the background. I have a sky and I have a ground that I'm standing on. And then I have things in the background of my picture. It says, one morning I went for a walk with Ella. We got back to the house. Ella saw a bunny. Then, zoom, Ella chased the bunny. Ah! I slipped on the grass and fell down. Last week you also learned how to do speech bubbles. I added the speech bubble, ah! And then over here Ella sang ruff, ruff, ruff. And I labeled my bunny. Last I went inside. I put a wet cloth on my arm. It felt better. And here I'm saying, that feels better. And Ella's thinking, I'm sorry. All right, so boys and girls, today we're going to learn how to edit. Boys and girls, when you edit your writing, you're checking to make sure that you've done everything that a good writer would do. To edit, you're going to use a writing checklist. I have given you a link to the writing checklist on your Seesaw if you want your parents to print it out and put it in your journal so you can always have it to check over your writing. That would be a great idea. Okay, it's also on your Seesaw, so in a minute you'll get to go through and check off your writing. So watch me as I edit my writing. So it says my writing checklist. So each thing has an empty box next to it, and I'm going to check them off as I go. The first box says start the sentence with a capital letter. And here it gives you an example. So it's pointing to the capital letter at the beginning of the sentence. So right now I'm going to go through my whole story. And all I'm looking for right now is that I have a capital letter at the beginning of every sentence. Now, as I do this, I'm also going to make sure that I have periods at the end of my sentence. Because after every period, you will need a capital letter. So that's this one down here. Punctuation marks at the end of each sentence. So do I have a period, a question mark, or an exclamation point? So I'm going to check for capital letters and periods right now. So take a look at my writing. So I have a capital letter here at the beginning of the sentence. So that's good, but I'm not done yet. I have to keep going. One morning, I went for a walk with Ella. So every time I finish a sentence, I'm going to take a big breath, and I need a period there. So I have a period, and then I have a capital letter for Ella because that's her name. All right, so right after the period, I should have another capital letter. Wow, I'm doing a great job. We got back to the house. Okay, it's the end of the sentence, so I took a big breath, and I have a period. Now the very next word after the period should be a capital letter. Good job, it is. Ella saw a bunny. Okay, so this first page looks great. So can I check this off now? No. If you said no, you are correct because I haven't checked the rest of my story. So let me go to page 2. Uh-oh, right now I can see that my first word is not starting with a capital letter. So the beginning of my sentence needs a capital T. So I'm going to get my eraser. I'm going to erase that lowercase t, and I'm going to make it a capital T. Then, zoom. Ella chased the bunny. Ah! Exclamation point. Okay, I made all of these letters capital letters because I'm saying it with a strong voice. So sometimes authors do that. They make words really big or bold so that the readers will say it with a strong voice. So I'm going to leave these all capital letters because I want when you read it, I want you to say it with a strong voice. Do you see any other words that need a capital letter in this sentence? If you said Ella, you are correct. Ella is a name, so it needs a capital letter. I also want to say the word zoom in a strong voice. So I'm going to do something called bold it. I'm going to make it big and bold. So I'm going to erase it, and I'm going to make this word big. Then zoom. Ella chased the bunny. So I'm going to make all the letters capital, and I'm going to make them bolded so that you say them with a strong voice. You can try this in one of your stories if you want to. If you want me to read something with a strong voice, you can make that word bolded, but you wouldn't want to do it with very many words. All right, now watch me read it. Then, zoom! Ella chased the bunny. Ah! Okay, let's look at the very next word. I. I is always a capital letter when you're talking about yourself. So I need to change that lowercase to a capital I. Make sure in your story, every time you have I by itself, it needs to be a capital letter. Okay? I slipped on the grass and fell down. What am I missing? If you said period, you are correct. I need a period at the end of my sentence. Okay, I'm doing pretty good now. I'm checking for capital letters and periods. Am I done? Can I put a check mark here? No, because I have one more page that I need to look at. So editing is very important because you want to make sure you're turning in your best work. I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to see if you can figure out where I need capital letters and periods. All right, let's go. Last I went inside, I put a wet cloth on my arm. It felt better. Can you find where I need a capital letter? If you said at the beginning of the sentence, you are correct. So I'm going to erase this lowercase l and make it a capital L. Can you see anything else that should be capitalized? If you said the I, you are correct. There's an I here and an I here. Whenever you have I by itself and you're talking about you, you're talking about yourself, it needs to be a capital letter. Okay, so I'm going to change this one. I'm going to change this one. Okay, now, boys and girls, I'm going to figure out where the periods go. Okay, remember the periods go at the end of the sentence where you take that deep breath. They don't necessarily go at the end of the line. So if I put a period here where the line is as ending, let's see if that makes sense. Last, I went inside. I put a wet cloth on my arm. It felt better. Okay, well that makes sense. Let's try it on the next sentence. Let's see if I need a period at the end of that line. I put a wet cloth. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. So we don't necessarily want to put a period at the end of the line. It has to be at the end of the sentence. All right, let's read it again. I put a wet cloth on my arm. Okay, here's where my period goes. So whenever it's the end of your sentence, you take a deep breath. That's where your period goes. So the very next letter is a capital letter. It felt better. Okay, so one more period, and then am I all finished? There's one more thing that's wrong. Figure it out if you can. I'll give you a hint. It's on the last line. What's wrong here? If you said you need to make this a lowercase r, you are correct. Okay, boys and girls, so I'm done checking for capital letters and periods. So I'm going to put a check here and a check here. But I have a couple other things I need to check before I'm done editing. So it says that I need to have spaces between each word. So I have a space. So all I do is just go like this and put your finger between each word. Okay, and see if you have spaces. So this is easy to quickly look at. Just make sure you have spaces between all of your words, and then you can check that one off. So I'm just looking quickly here. I have spaces between each word, and I've already read my writing. This one says, my writing makes sense. Yes, it does. I've read it and it makes sense. The last one says, the illustration matches the words. All right, let's make sure that my pictures and my words match. So here I'm talking about how we went on a walk with Ella. Does that match the words? Yes, it does. Okay, in this page it says that Ella chased the bunny. So do I have a bunny and do I have Ella? And it says I fell down, and here I fell down. So that makes sense. And here I'm talking about putting a wet cloth on my arm, and I have that, so that makes sense. So now my writing does make sense. So I'm going to check that one off, and I am done editing. All right, boys and girls, so let's go over what you're going to do today. So you are going to do step 4, 5, and 6. You're going to finish writing your story. Then you're going to make sure it's colored. And last, you're going to edit your story using the editing checklist on Seesaw, or you can use the one that your parents printed out. All right, good job.